everybody, and welcome to your Friday weekly AMA for the Denver Nuggets here at Mile High Sports. I am Kim Becker. He is Ryan Blackburn, and we are here to answer any questions you may have when it comes to the Denver Nuggets. And what a game to follow this one with last night, Ryan. We'll dive into that to start off. You were at the game, that domination over the Los Angeles Clippers. Super fun to watch. It was on national television, so everyone got a nice little taste of what the Denver Nuggets are capable of, especially at home. But what was kind of your main takeaways from being at the game in person last night in Ball Arena?
Yeah, it's just one of those games that it stands out really strongly on the national stage, where the Nuggets have had these games over the course of these past couple of weeks, and this was kind of the culmination of that, where they've shown that they can do well. They've shown that they have the talent. This time they showed that when it all comes together, they can destroy worlds. They're one of those teams that is capable of winning the championship. And I think that's really an exciting prospect. I don't know if we've seen that this early from the Nuggets before, where everybody's kind of talking about the Nuggets as a team that could really do it. I think last night was a great example of that.
Nice. We love it. Okay, well, definitely a better taste in our mouth for the Denver Nuggets than the Colorado Avalanche today. So I'm glad we're talking about the Nuggets. We'll jump into these first questions. The one rolling down on the bottom here, Ryan, already for us. Was last night an accurate representation of this team at its best? You touched on it a little bit, but maybe you can elaborate a bit.
Yeah, I think so. I think that this is a great representation of what the vision is for this Nuggets team, where as long as they lock in defensively at the beginning of the game, they have a great capability to really put the hurting on a team. And last night, it was very clear from the jump that the Clippers were not ready for the Nuggets on either end of the floor, but even like the Nuggets defensively. They only allowed 91 points last night, and they allowed, I think, 32 in the first half entirely, where Denver, they just jumped on the Clippers very quickly, forced them into tough looks all night, protected the rim really well. And that is the vision. That is the way that the Nuggets want to play when they are at their best. And Denver was clearly at their best last night. Was it an accurate representation of what this team could be consistently? I don't know. But when this team is clicking, when this team is firing on all cylinders, I think that, yeah, this is what the vision is. This is how the Nuggets want to play. Jokic didn't even have to do all that much. It was Jamal Murray getting out to a great start. It was Aaron Gordon dominating inside. And then the bench finally clicking in the way that the Nuggets needed them to. It was really great to see.
Yeah, I think in your article you talked about how many points the bench scored overall. It was one of their best showings all year, really, right?
Yeah, 60 points.
60 points,
And they actually, it was funny, they didn't outscore the Los Angeles Clippers bench because that bench scored 65. But here's the difference. That bench started the second half. The Clippers benched all of their starters. They're saving them for a back-to-back that they're playing tonight. And those bench guys, they had plenty of opportunities to score. Denver had already kind of gone through they had done their competitive work. But the bench that the Nuggets showed last game, it really has stood out as one of those units that Denver can go to consistently. They staggered Kentavious Caldwell-Pope, played Bones Highland, Bruce Brown, Vlatko Čančar, Zeke Naji, and then they played KCP with them. And that group makes so much sense. There's a lot to like about that unit, and they played really well.
Nice. Okay, good. Yeah, fun night. And we'll have another question here on something that did happen last night. This one's kind of funny. I'm excited to hear you explain this one a little bit better, especially because you were there in person. But what do you think the funnier play was out of these two last night, if you want to call the second one a play? Bones Highland or the whole Jokic Zubac twerk jump ball situation?
Yeah, so I got this question from Patrick and had a good laugh on it because I knew exactly what he was talking about. Yeah. So last night, Bones Highland made a fantastic play, a really flashy layup in transition where he got the ball out, didn't even really look at the ball when it was going through the hoop, didn't even really look at the hoop either. He was looking at his defender, and then he falls down and is leaning upwards and looking directly at the camera, staring at the camera like, did you see that? Did you see how cool that was? That was awesome. And everybody else saw it. That meme was going around social media last night and this morning. And it reminded me, in terms of funnier play, the Jokic Zubac jump ball that Patrick was talking about, Bill Kennedy, the referee, was throwing the jump ball. He and Jokic have a great relationship. At the very beginning of the game, Jokic was waiting for the jump ball. He started shaking back and forth, and his butt was just twerking. It's one of the funniest clips that I think I've ever seen from Jokic. And everybody on the court burst out laughing, and they
Yeah.
have to basically stop what they're doing. It was hilarious. I think that one takes the cake. But Bones, his face is so memeable from that perspective. You are going to get so much content out of that. And so anybody that's doing Nuggets content, just make sure there's plenty of opportunities out there between those two plays.
Memeable. I love it. Okay, so fun. And so fun to have these elements on top of a big win for the Nuggets, especially at home and seeing them all in person. This is the kind of stuff that we need to keep us going during this NBA season, but we'll keep this one going as well here. What have you been most surprised about so far this season?
Yeah, there's a lot of different ways that I could take this question. I know. Jokic, I'm not really ever surprised by what he does, but
Mhm.
I think his ability to both scale up and scale down for what the Nuggets have needed so far has been incredible. I think that has really stood out. I thought that because I criticized him earlier in the year for not being as aggressive as he needed to be. And then he got aggressive, and then he played better defense, and then he also passed the ball better. And now he's scoring 40 every now and then. And his ability to scale up and also kind of take on that additional burden when Murray's not playing well or Porter is out, and sometimes he just needs to be that dude. He has been perfect within his role so far this year, kind of with the entire season as a kind of a barometer for that. I'm surprised that he has done that so well and put himself into a position where, yes, the Nuggets are winning. And yes, Jokic is filling that role perfectly to the point where a third MVP for Jokic is actually a possibility. He might be the front runner right now. And that is a crazy thing to say
Yeah.
after as much vitriol was thrown his way over the course of winning the last two and kind of failing in the playoffs, or so people say. It's been great to see this, and I'm kind of surprised that it's been received as well as it has.
Well, good. And how fun for you to be able to cover it so up close and personal and knowing what this team has done the last couple of seasons, what Jokic has done, and being able to see it happen kind of right in front of your eyes again here, especially with Nikola. So
Yeah.
very exciting here. I like this question a lot, this next one, Ryan, and I hope you do as well. I'm excited to hear what you have to say. If you could have one loss back for the Denver Nuggets this season so far, which one would it be? Or what was the most painful loss for you, Ryan?
Yeah, I could take this one any number of ways. Denver's had 13 losses this season. Some of them are more painful than others. I think I would take back one of the home losses though. Denver's had 3 home losses so far this year. They're now 15-3 at home. They've been fantastic there, but 3 of the losses that they've had have all been really close. All been close games that Denver could have won. 2 of them, or one of them was without Nikola Jokic. It was the New York Knicks loss that Denver, they had a lead at the end and kind of choked it away a little bit. There was the Detroit game where everybody was back. Denver should have just dominated that game, and they let that game slip through their fingers as well. And then there was the Dallas game on national TV where Denver, very hard fought game. I thought Denver played reasonably well in that one, but they just couldn't get it quite at the end. I think among those 3, I'd probably choose the New York game.
Okay.
I know that the Dallas game makes more sense for like tiebreaker scenarios and nerdy things like that. But the New York game without Jokic would have been a big deal. That was a chance for Jamal Murray, I think, to step up and really take control. And he didn't do that in that situation. I'd take that game back and try to get him a better opportunity down the stretch.
Okay, I like it. Thank you so much for sending in that question, Kev Missions. That's been a fun one. Or no, sorry, that was Joe Kelly. Kev Missions was the one before, but Joe Kelly, great question there for that one. We've got another one here from Evan. What do AG and the other Nuggets have to do in order for him to make the All-Star game? Do you think the league will show him more respect than the fans?
That's a great question. The fan voting polls just came out over the course of I think it was yesterday, if I'm not mistaken. And the vote wasn't very strongly in Aaron Gordon's favor. He didn't crack the top 10 in the front court. And I'm not really surprised about that. Jokic gets a lot of the credit. He's somebody who's always going to garner the credit. And then you're not in a major market like a California team with the Lakers or the Warriors, where Andrew Wiggins is getting more votes than Aaron Gordon, despite the fact that Aaron Gordon's clearly had a better season than Andrew Wiggins, who's currently injured. So it's very interesting. I think what Aaron Gordon and the Nuggets would have to do in order to make that a possibility is they have to force feed him possessions. They have to get him opportunities where he's averaging like 25 points per game between now and when voting closes. He has to be consistent on that end. But more than anything, it's the coaches that have the opportunity to vote in Aaron Gordon, because the fan vote, it only applies to the starters, things like that. So what the coaches have an opportunity to do is vote in a guy like Aaron Gordon, who will be on the first seed in the West. That's a prerequisite. Denver has to be the 1 seed. That's the only way that they're going to get 2. If they are the 1 seed and Aaron Gordon's playing well and he's doing everything the coaches like to see as a role player in general, then maybe he gets an opportunity. But Denver's got to go on a run. There's no doubt about that. Over the course of the next month of the season, they are going to have to dominate. Yep. And if they do, then Aaron Gordon has a chance for sure.
All right, the time is now. We'll wrap this thing up with one more question from Chris. Can the Nuggets get it done this year without making another roster move, do you think, Ryan?
Yeah, it's a great question. I go back and forth on this, because if it were me in this situation, I'd like for them to have another guy to trust. I'd like for them to have another player in their rotation that they can go to on a consistent basis. But they're going to play their starters a lot of minutes. There's no doubt about that. Jokic is going to play 36 to 38 to 40 minutes at some points. Murray will probably be around the same point. KCP is going to play a lot. Aaron Gordon's going to play a lot. Michael Porter, we're still not sure about. Like, he may play a bunch of minutes. He may play very few minutes. We're still trying to figure that one out. Bruce Brown's going to play a lot. Bones Highland, they trust. Christian Brown, they trust. Vlatko Chanchar's played really well. Jeff Green has played, he's played fine. I think Vlatko's played better, actually. If there was one weakness on this team that we've talked about on this particular show over the course of these last few weeks, it's the backup big spot, where you don't know what's going to happen with Nikola Jokic off the floor. I think Zeke Naji has shown some things over the course of this last week that are really encouraging. I think that Denver could still use another player where that isn't necessarily the only thing that they can rely upon. I don't think they can rely upon DeAndre Jordan in those situations. I don't know if they can rely on Jeff Green at center. They might slide Aaron Gordon to backup center, and that could be enough. But depending on the matchup, you may need somebody bigger than him, somebody taller, more athletic, or not athletic, but somebody just whose role is to roll to the rim and block shots and things like that. So I'm very curious to see how they handle it. I think that they have enough to get it done without that, based off of what the West looks like this year, based off of what the NBA looks like this year. There's so much parity. There's so many teams that are imperfect. The Nuggets are imperfect too. There's no doubt about that. But if I were the Nuggets, I feel pretty good about this group. Could I feel better? Sure. But it doesn't mean that this group can't get it done. There's enough pieces here. There's enough talent here that the Nuggets have something, even if they don't end up making a move.
We've definitely seen that, and especially last night in their domination over the Los Angeles Clippers. Very fun to see. Nice to see some other players being able to shine there, and it wasn't all Nikola Jokic as well, because I know that's something that you and I have talked about so much, is that he has just been, and he always has been, always will be, the staple for this team, kind of the guy that can, get everything together if it's going south. But a very fun showing last night out of the Denver Nuggets, Ryan. I hope that continues for you. I know how much fun it is when your team that you're covering is doing well. Just adds another element to it. But I appreciate you and this AMA today. For everybody tuning in, thank you so much for checking out our weekly AMA for the Denver Nuggets here at Mile High Sports. Make sure that you are following Ryan on Twitter and Mile High Sports on Twitter, because he will send out a tweet every week asking what questions you may have, and he and I will hop on here every Friday afternoon and answer them for you. So Ryan, thank you so much. I hope you have a fantastic weekend. I know you've got another game tonight, a back-to-back. It's not an easy schedule, so thank you for taking the time, but I'll see you next Friday.
Thank you, Kim. Awesome. Everybody, thank you so much for the questions. You guys are great. Have a good one.